Guys, good morning, everyone. Today we have such an amazing guest. While I was preparing for this interview, every time I open different click to read about our guest today, like, wow, and he did this, he did that. So there is a huge experience that our guest has. A lot of sales, just to be more precise, it's more than 30 billion worth of transactions in the property. He was working in the company that has, I believe, the best sales structure in Dubai, or maybe even in the world. And today he's a co-founder and co-CEO of one of the best prop tech and fintech startups in Dubai, and already in Saudi Arabia as well, right?
Yeah, Q1 next year, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So today we have Ramy. Ramy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
Ramy, can you please quickly introduce yourself to our audience, and how are you doing it yourself, not as I did just now?
Yeah, no, quick intro. Ramy, been in Dubai now for 18 years. Came here in 2006, and I fell into real estate by mistake. I actually came to Dubai to work with a Procter & Gamble subsidiary. Did that for 2 weeks, hated my life. And then, a family friend is like, hey, there's 2 English guys starting a company, a real estate company called The First Group. Would you be interested in joining them as one of their first salespeople in Dubai? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? He introduced me to the owners. I walk into a 2-bedroom apartment on Sheikh Zayed. I'll never forget it. There was Applebee's downstairs, this old restaurant. And then I joined and I fell into real estate by mistake, and that's how my entry into the market started back in 2006 with The First Group, and grew the business and have been in real estate since.
So you were the first employee sales guy in The First Group.
Yeah.
For how long you were staying in that company?
From 2006 to 2017, exactly.
As I said, there are different opinions about this company, but as I said, I believe it has the best sales structure that I have ever seen. And as I'm in sales, I try to study different models that worked and what didn't work. Ramy, can you share some of the things that you learned throughout these years by working in the First Group?
There's so much that I learned at a company. When you join a company so early, and then you grew it. I remember we were at the time like 8 people. And then when I left, we were close to 700 people. So, we were doing around 2 billion dirhams a year worth of real estate sales, which was, phenomenal growth over the time. Obviously, Dubai was growing and we did really well. But I got to learn, first of all, how amazing Dubai as a city is and how much it attracts capital from all over the world. So throughout my career with The First Group, I moved to Moscow. I lived there for a year. And then I moved to Nigeria. I moved to Lagos. I lived there for a year. So I got to see kind of different cities and how much people wanted Dubai. You go to a place like Moscow, you start advertising Dubai, everyone wants to invest in Dubai. You go to a place like Nigeria, same thing. So it just shows you kind of how much capital Dubai attracts. But over and above that, I think one of the most important things that I learned at The First Group is, that real estate is not just a transaction. When people want to invest in property, people kind of think, let me show them a brochure, show them the plot, and done. That's how they're going to buy. And I think that's what sets really good brokers and brokerages between average and poor ones. People who understand that investing in real estate or buying real estate is an actual experience rather than just a transaction do very well, because people are putting their life savings into something. They want to have a good experience. And I think First Group, the whole sales process that they've built is phenomenal because they were able to show and take people on this whole experience, this tour experience. I see a lot of people now flying investors from around the world to come to Dubai, and developers and brokers are offering flights for people to come to Dubai so that they can experience it. First Group was doing that back in 2008 because they understood early on that, and they taught the entire sales team. We taught the entire sales team that for someone to buy and invest in a city that they don't know, they have to experience it. And I think that's one of the major learnings that I realized is sales and marketing and just the way you sell and clients that they should invest in Dubai is a whole experience. It's a story that you build. So that's like one of the major things that I take back and I implement with Stake today.
Mm-hmm. Ramy, one of the things that I think was important in the first group is very aggressive sales. I want to take your opinion about where is the limit for an aggressive sale? When you should understand, like you should stop pushing. How did you guys approach this part?
That's a really good question. So, I think aggressive sales is, aggressive sales is not accepting no the first time. I think, and when you're throughout the entire process and a client tells you, I'm not sure, I need to think about it. It's the way you kind of end that meeting, and then kind of how do you follow up with your clients. And I think that you say aggressive sales, I think it's more persistent. There's a difference between aggressive and persistent.
Let's discuss it.
I think aggressive is rude. You're rude to the client. When someone tells you no, you're continually pushing and pushing and pushing until that client who had a good experience with you ends up having a very bad experience and actually leaves your office or your brokerage or whatever it is, saying, I never want to see these guys again. I think that's aggressive sales, and I think we didn't have that. I think we always knew kind of where to stop. Some salespeople didn't, and kind of those were the unsuccessful ones. Persistent sales is when you get a no, kind of how to follow up nicely, how to keep communication with the client, how to get referrals from the clients. I think that's the kind of difference. Aggression leads to a negative experience. Persistence leads to a positive experience and potentially leads to a sale. Rather than taking the no immediately and saying, okay, I'm never going to speak to this client again. I think real estate people tend to hear that a no, and then they just forget about that client. But they tend to forget that someone investing $1 million dirhams is close to $300,000. You most likely will get a no the first time. So it's about building that relationship over time.
By the way, what else I think you introduced it, or you were using that I really like, that in a sales process, that once the sale is done, the customer care takes over. Mm-hmm. So the sales guy is keep on selling.
Yeah,
he's not involved in send me the invoice, what happened with this email. This is such brilliant idea, and a lot of companies are still not using it.
Listen, I think this was a game changer for us because really good salespeople are really good in sales. They're really good in focusing on the client, taking them through the process. But then after real estate, as that's why we started Stake, is a very heavy admin and paperwork, and it's an intensive process. Salespeople generally are not good at that. And it's very important to know kind of focus what people are good at to continue doing that. And then when there's a drop off and say, okay, now it's all admin work. It's all about following payments. It's about getting the SPA signed. Give it to an admin team, and let that salesperson then focus on the next client or focus on the existing client to generate more referrals from that existing client. That's why it's very important to separate the two functions.
Yeah, it's really, really important. Now I'm solving this issue by having like assistants, but if the company has this, it will definitely increase the number of sales.
100%.
Rami, may I ask you? You mentioned that you were living in Moscow and you were staying in Nigeria, and it seems like it was two main audiences for the company. Why did you put your focus in these two countries?
So it's interesting. When I first moved to Moscow, it was in 2009. It was at the beginning of the economic crisis. And at the time, you realize the stock market was crashing. People were taking money out of the banks because they were worried that banks were collapsing. There's a lot of banks that collapsed. So people were sitting on cash. So at the time, around 2008, we started realizing that there was a lot of money coming in from this former CIS, specifically Russian countries, coming in saying, they want to invest in Dubai. And we're getting a lot of inflow. But then when the markets crashed, a lot of people stopped coming to Dubai. Everyone started saying, oh, Dubai is over, Dubai is over. But then we realized that in places like Russia, people were sitting on money because they weren't investing in the stock market and they weren't putting money in the banks. They were actually sitting on cash and they wanted to invest. So we decided at the time that if we're going to wait for people to come to Dubai, we're going to miss an opportunity. So, I give a lot of credit to the owners back then of the first group. They're like, okay, listen, how about we go to those countries, set up an office there and tell them Dubai is still an amazing place to invest. So we went to Moscow, set up an office there, and we convinced people that, listen, it's cold in Russia, come to Dubai, the weather's amazing, and the market's still very good. You can get great deals right now. And we started flying people over from Russia. How easy is it to convince someone sitting in minus 20 degrees to fly over to Dubai when the weather is fantastic in December and still invest and get really good yields? So we did that and it worked phenomenally well. And then we decided, okay, after we did that in Russia and we built that presence, we started seeing that there's a lot of African investment coming to Dubai, specifically from Nigeria. So we did the same exact thing. We went and set up an operation there, and we started flying people over from Nigeria to Dubai, and that's how we started building this whole travel program.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there was a different pitch for different countries. Can you share your pitch for the Russians?
It's very simple. Getting your money out at the time, people wanted to invest outside of Russia, and putting it in a place that's dollar denominated, so the currency risk is a lot less, and generating great yields. And the whole lifestyle, selling the whole lifestyle to the Russian investor was all about coming to Dubai, and that's kind of the pitch. Actually, the pitches didn't really differ because even for someone living in Nigeria, at the time they're like, okay, I want to get my money out of a place at the time that wasn't really advancing economically. The currency as well, the naira was really depreciating. So how do you get your money out of those depreciating currencies, put it into a dollar denominated currency in a place that is as safe, as secure, and with a huge future as Dubai? I think the easiest thing that you can do as a real estate person in Dubai, real estate rep, whatever it is selling Dubai. It's the easiest city to sell in the world.
Mm-hmm. Rami, what advice you can give to an agent who wants to provide a better experience for the client? Now he's watching this video and says, oh yeah, I'm lacking in the experience, but I don't understand how, am I good in this or not? Like I'm calling, I'm sending him happy birthday, I'm doing this and that. What are some points that you will advise to pay attention to increase the experience of the client?
I think, don't just sell the developer, don't just sell the product, sell, because real estate is a long-term investment. No one's going to invest and try to sell after 6 months. And, that's what got the market in trouble and got a lot of brokers in trouble, because they're telling people, hey, listen, if you put a down payment today, in 6 months, I'll be able to sell it for you. And we know the market's not like that. And actually the market, as it matures in Dubai, it's no longer about a short-term sale. It's a long-term vision of Dubai, looking at how the prices over time appreciate. So I think the most important thing that I can tell any agent is, at the end of the day, don't just focus on what the product is, but sell the whole long-term vision of Dubai, sell the development in the area, sell the returns over time. It's easy to say, oh, if you don't buy it now, and this is the thing that, drives me crazy when I get calls, still I get cold calls. I mean, that's, every day I probably get like 4 or 5 cold calls. They're saying, there's only 5 units left. If you don't buy today, you're going to miss out. And you're like, listen, come on, that's, people are not going to buy that anymore. It's more about, listen, this is a great opportunity to get in because of the value of the development, the value of the area, the value of Dubai. I think people tend to forget that, don't just sell a 3-bedroom. Don't just sell a 2-bedroom overlooking, the Burj Khalifa. It's more about selling the whole city in general, selling downtown, selling, focusing on the grand scheme of things rather than just focusing on the actual product. That for me is most important. And I think, people need to invest in their clients. When you get a client that's coming to you, it's not just about taking him to, or taking that family or taking that investor to the product and saying, listen, this is the view, thank you very much. It's actually spending the whole day with that investor. People come to Dubai and they're spoken to by at least 10 brokers. How do you differentiate yourself from the other brokers? It's about that experience that client has with you when he's sitting with you or when she's sitting with you, because that leaves an impression on the client. And I think rather than just giving them, an hour where you're going to that viewing, it's about kind of booking that day with the investor, making sure that they understand why you're going to be there for them in the long term, rather than just collecting that down payment and then thank you very much.
Wow, Rami, it's such good advice. Because during our day-to-day activities, sometimes you think, oh, I need to work with that client, and then there is another lead is coming in, I need to find a time for him. But we cannot do this because we don't have the second part where we have a customer service that is taking care of the invoices.
Yeah. Okay, that's why. So you need to. That's why it's important to have the customer service.
I'm listening to you and I understand that. This is where like agencies needs to evolve and take this work from the agents and let them spend the time with the clients. Rami, so you spent several years in this company. May I ask you what made you leave it? Why you decided to change?
I wanted a bigger challenge. I think you get to a point in life where you say, am I in the comfort zone? And I think I'm the type of guy that's always hated being in the comfort zone. Because you start regressing. You're not learning new things. You feel like you're going to work every day and it's just kind of the same thing all the time. So I just wanted a bigger challenge, which is why I decided to leave and then move on to a bigger company, which is when I joined DAMAC. And I think that's always important for anyone to leave their comfort zone. And that's kind of what made me decide to say, listen, enough, 11 years, bigger challenge and bigger company. And that's kind of where I went.
Wait a second, you spent there 11 years in the first...
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, outstanding. So you moved to DAMAC. A bit different. Now a puzzle comes together. Like you moved to DAMAC at which year?
2017.
2017?
Yep.
Yeah. And for how long you were staying in DAMAC?
Close to 3 years.
Close to 3 years.
Just under 3 years, 2.5 years.
Oh, and what did you learn there throughout these 3 years?
I learned the importance of brokers, because at the time in First Group, it's a very direct sales-oriented business. At DAMAC, you understand kind of how big the broker business is and how big it was for DAMAC and still is for DAMAC. And also you learn kind of how, I learned one of the most important things is how important it is to have scale. Because when you're talking about DAMAC, obviously it's one of the largest developers in town, and it's a much different scale than kind of where I was before. So you got to learn, you're speaking to not just 50 or 100 salespeople, you're speaking to 400 salespeople. You're speaking to offices across 6 different countries. So that scale, that and you're selling more than one project. You're selling 7 or 8 projects at once. So it gets you to just to be on your feet, and having someone like Hussein Sajwani, who's a fantastic chairman, who's very demanding of his team. You're always on your feet. You need to know your products very well. You need to know the pricing. You need to know your payment plans. So it just pushed you as a person to become a lot more knowledgeable about what you're doing every day.
Which model do you prefer, to have a direct sales team or to have a sales team that kind of supports big army of agents?
I think you need to have both. There isn't a preference. You definitely need both, because they're two. You need to have your own direct sales team, because in the sense you control your own destiny, in the sense of if there's other brokers who want to stop focusing on you because someone else releases another product, then you might lose sales. So you need to have both. It's very important to have both, but there isn't a preference in my opinion. It's a company, a developer needs to have both channels.
So after that, it looks like it will be a logical step to become a developer. We already know that you didn't choose this direction. Can you tell me why you didn't went towards
development?
This development?
You see, it's interesting when you've worked with developers for so long, and I think this is kind of a path that everyone takes. When you end up working in real estate for so long, a lot of the people end up going in one of 3 paths, I think. Either continuing to work for another developer, or setting up their own brokerage, or working at a brokerage, or if you have access to money, becoming your own developer. And when I looked at kind of my options at the time, I said, okay, I've done that for so long, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do, still in real estate. Real estate is what I love. It's my passion. But I wanted to do something that is very different. I mean, how many brokerages do we have in Dubai? People keep saying we have like 20,000 brokers, or even, I don't know what the final number is, but we have so many brokers in Dubai and brokerages that you say, okay, do I want to do more of the same, or do I want to do something different in the same real estate space? And, my co-founder at the time, who's still my co-founder, Manar, I've known him for 25 years. We went to the same school in Lebanon. He's a banker, completely different background than myself. We started talking, he was very amazed by the real estate business. He comes from a finance background. And we said, okay, how do we create an investment platform that is very different to what exists there? And that's how we came up with Stake. And it's been 3 years now.
Amazing. So what is Stake?
Very simply, elevator pitch, Stake is a digital real estate investment platform that allows anyone from anywhere in the world to invest in Dubai real estate from an app in under 3 minutes, starting from 500 dirhams.
Yesterday I became a client of your platform. I used it. It's really amazing. I really like it. You have very good deals. I found there one deal in the building where I recently sold an apartment for like 1.8. It's listed on your platform right now for 1.5. There are a few percentage left to finish the funding, so you can you can still jump in on that deal. And when I saw that deal, I have one question came up in my mind, like how do you secure this deal? Because to me, it looks like a very good one. And it was like 45 days waiting period. So when I'm buying over there, and let's say we are sure 100% that it will reach to the full funding, how sure I am that we really will get this price for this unit?
As a seller or as an investor?
As an investor.
So at the end of the day, just to give you a quick background, we're a regulated business. So we're based in the IFC, regulated by the DFSA, which, for those of you that don't know, DFSA is the Dubai Financial Services Authority. They're one of the most stringent regulators out there. In order to get a license, you have to go through many processes, paperwork. I mean, we don't list a property unless it's valued by a third-party valuation company. I mean, there's a lot of things, and it's very strict, which is good because it gives investors, like yourself, who came onto the platform, the assurance that we're not just any company that's a digital platform and app. There's real checks and balances behind this. So, for yourself, if for any reason that the property does not get funded, the money is immediately sent back to your wallet. But I'll tell you, we've done now, it's our third year. We've done over 150 units. Nothing's never been funded. And that's from an investor point of view. I mean, so I'll tell you, this is our data. We fund properties on an average of 13 days now. The market today, the average, if you have a secondary unit, between listing, viewing, getting a mortgage approved can sometimes take up to more than 90 days. So imagine for a seller, it's 13 days. So the experience for a seller, and you're saying, how do we get good deals? So today, if you have a property that's tenanted, arranging a viewing to sell is the most annoying thing because the tenant has the right to say, no, I don't want to allow a viewing today. I don't want to view today, or not maybe Saturday at 5 p.m. They give you very specific times. So imagine if you're a seller wanting to sell a tenanted property, you're dealing with 4 or 5 different brokers, getting viewings. It's just a nightmare. And then if it's not tenanted, you still have to go list it on Property Finder or get a broker to deal with it. It's just a very annoying process. With us, the seller or the broker comes to us, we do one viewing, we give you one price, and we do a cash transaction within a maximum of 60 days. So imagine you're getting a manager check. We don't do mortgages because our regulator does not allow to do mortgages. Full transparency, you're able to go into the platform and see how much is sold. So imagine as a seller, you list your property with us. Every day you can see, okay, it was 20% yesterday, it's 40% today. That transparency doesn't exist. So for a seller, it's such an amazing experience that they're willing to give us a good deal and give us the time to be able to sell it. For brokers, we're a dream. Honestly, we've been working with brokers now very well over the last 12 months because if you have a property in a good location that's ready, because we don't do off-plan. We're not allowed to do off-plan. The regulator doesn't allow us to do off-plan. We come to you. We sign an agreement with you. So we're regulated. We're not, everything's checked. We put it on the platform. You see how much is being sold. We pay the commission. So once it's sold, we pay the 2%. And then we're happy if you have a property management company as a brokerage to give you back that property to manage it. Short-term, long-term. So imagine you're giving us the property, getting the 2%, getting it back to manage. It's just an amazing experience. And one thing that's even more interesting is imagine you as a broker, how many leads do you get? Let's say you get 1,000 leads a month. How many of those can actually afford real estate? Okay, maybe 10%. So you have 90%, 900 leads of those that can't afford real estate or can't afford to invest in property. So imagine you have a listing and you have leads that couldn't afford. So give us the listing. We give you the 2% and give us the leads that couldn't afford it to invest in that property. And we pay you commission on every lead that you give us, 2%. So it's just, and we really are complementary to the entire ecosystem.
Mind-blowing. And I still can keep 2% of the seller's commission.
Of course. Yeah. So you're getting the seller, we're the buyer.
Okay, so now there are guys who are thinking, I need to send my unit to you. Where they should send it? Like, is there a specific brokerage department that you have?
Yeah, we do. We have an asset acquisitions department. We also have something called Sell with Stake, where you can immediately go onto the website, upload the property. We have an internal team. We've actually built an algorithm that goes to the property, tells us exactly what price we should offer. We give you an offer within 24 hours. We do a viewing, and if we agree, we're done. We sign.
Can you tell some of the important things of this algorithm so people will not waste time of your team? What are you paying attention to?
So the kind of the levels that we've set, the parameters that we've set is, first of all, we don't take off plan, so automatically it rejects. We won't go into areas that are subprime. So, for example, we only do downtown, Business Bay, La Mer, Dubai Marina, Palm Jumeirah, the IFC. Those are the main areas that we go for. So anything outside of those areas immediately gets rejected. And, if it's tenanted, but if the rent is too low, then automatically it doesn't make sense because people invest in stake for yield. They want return. So we need to give them good returns. So those are kind of the main parameters that we go for.
What do you consider as a good yield?
Anywhere between 4.5%, 5% to 6%, 7%. Mm-hmm. And I think people need to understand that yields in Dubai are being compressed. So, anyone who tells you can make 10% return doesn't exist. Really doesn't, especially in prime property. So if you're making anywhere between 4.5%, 5% net to your pocket.
So net to your pocket will deduct service fees.
That's everything, after everything. So service fees, our fees, net to your pocket is how much you make.
4.5 to.
I mean, all our properties are yielding anywhere between our average portfolio today is the whole portfolio is yielding 5.8%.
5.8%.
Our entire
so this is the
portfolio.
target.
That's what we go for.
Or above.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to summarize it, I should have a ready property in a good area, downtown Business Bay, La Mer, Dubai Marina, that is rented or
vacant. We'll take both.
But preferably,
it has to be a good developer.
A good developer.
Yes. I'm not going to say who. We'll keep that too.
yeah. A good developer. If it's rented, we should aim to around 5.8% net return. The only thing that is missing in my formula is that service fees I know, management fees will kind of if it's a long-term rent, it's 5% a year, right?
Yeah.
And what will be the stake fees that we need to?
So what we charge up front is we take 1.5% from the investor money.
It's upfront, okay.
Yeah, so we take 1.5% from the investor money, and then every year we charge 0.5%.
0.5%
every year, and
from rent or from the.
So we take it from the rent, but it's 0.5% of the value of the property.
Of the value of the property.
Yep.
So we will deduct this amount from the rental yield.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when we sell the property, or when people sell their stakes, because we have something called an exit window where people can sell their stakes, we charge 2.5% to sell.
Okay, so now I have, let's say, this property. I have it's rent. Let's put it rented easier. Now the only thing that I need to convince the seller to proceed to sign the contract with you.
Yep.
The only thing that I think that he will not like is 60 days period. But we can tell them that
we put down a check. We put down a security check.
And on average, you close the deal in 15 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's say we get the funds in 15 days. Do we? How long it will take to go to the deal?
So
to conclude
I'll
the
tell
deal?
you, the only delay that we have where other people might not is we set up an SPV in the IFC.
Oh, okay. So SPV is a company.
Yeah.
Special
purpose vehicle.
Special purpose vehicle.
So the way the stake works is every investor, when they invest into a property, we set up an SPV, which is a special purpose vehicle. It's a company in the IFC. All the investors go into the SPV, and then the title deed comes out in the name of the SPV. So the way it works is when the investor invests on stake, they get two types of documents. They get the title deed in the name of the SPV, and they also get a share certificate equivalent to how much they invested in the SPV. So let's say a property is $1 million. Someone invests 100,000. They own 10%. So they're getting shares equivalent to that 10%. And then the title deed comes out. The beauty of it is it's super transparent. So when an investor goes to a DIFC website, they can see their name on the SPV and they're getting the title deed. So literally all those documents are on the app. So people are getting that full transparency. So when we do get the funding, the delay only is getting that SPV formed, which sometimes can take 5 days, sometimes can take 7 days. It really varies. But when it's fully funded, we automatically issue a security check, which the seller can see. So, we'll immediately send the seller the manager check to see that the money is there. It's just now getting the SPV to be done. And I think that's kind of what sellers love about us, is the whole transparent process, because they're able to see everything. We usually sometimes when you give a property to a broker, you have to call them all the time. What happened? What happened? How many viewings? What's happening? What's the offer? With us, you're just getting full transparency on the entire experience.
This is really amazing, and for the agent as well, you seems like a big fund whom I can always approach if I have a good deal, and 100%. Most probably will close the deal. Now let's discuss it from the investor point of view. When I registered there, I saw that I have a limit of $50,000 if I'm not professional investor, and to qualify to be a professional investor, I need to have 1 million in assets.
Exactly.
Not everybody has 1 million in assets, so there is no other way. They will be limited to this $50,000, right?
It's limited to 50. It's our regulator, the FSA, have set these rules that the limit per investor is $50,000. If you want to invest more, you need to prove that your net worth is over $1 million. We're working with the regulator to increase that next year. They told us they'll come back to us in Q1, but it's a $50,000 limit. One thing we can get into later is also on our platform, we offer golden visas, which is, a phenomenal way for a broker who has a...
We need to jump in right now to this. Tell us.
Fine. So today, if you invest in property, 2 million dirhams,
Yes.
you get a golden visa.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you invest 2 million dirhams on stake, you also get a golden visa. So if someone is sitting in Hong Kong, who wants to get a golden visa in Dubai. And I say Hong Kong because we've had a lot of investors from Hong Kong get golden visas through us. How do they do that? They have to go and put it into a property. If it's off plan, they're waiting 4 years to get any return. Or they're buying something and they're putting that 2 million into one property. With stake, you do it on an app. 2 million dirhams, you just want to invest on an app very seamlessly. Put 2 million dirhams across 20 properties. We do all the management. We do all the property service for you. And you're getting a golden visa. I mean, it's a no-brainer for us. And honestly, now we're pushing that because people today around the world who want a golden visa in Dubai don't want that exposure into one property, don't want to buy something off-plan. With us, it's just ready property. They make money immediately on the rent, so because it's rented, and it's diversified. So it's a no-brainer.
And through SPV, you still can get it.
Yeah. It took me 18 months convincing the authorities to give us to us. And, thankfully, Dubai is... they always think big, and they gave it to us. They gave us the approval to say, yeah, if you get investors to do 2 million dirhams on your platform, we'll issue golden visas.
Yeah.
And we've already issued in excess of 10 already in the last month.
Yesterday, I was thinking about some ideal clients of stake. So, and I found several of them. So there is a guy who has a small amount of money, like 50,000, and he wants to buy the property. He buys the property, he gets the yield. Or maybe there is somebody who doesn't have enough money to buy the property, but he wants his funds to work somewhere. He can do this. Then I realized that you took out of the market. You can potentially take out of the market investors who are buying through the mortgage as an investment, because it doesn't make any sense to go to the bank. Now you have money for the down payment, you go there and you make higher yields, and you still have the appreciation, you have this and that. So I understood that, if you want to buy a property as an investment through the mortgage, don't go there, go to stake.
100%.
Stake is an ideal solution. Where I got then I was thinking about the guy who, let's say, he has full funds to buy the property, and when he buys the the property, he controls himself when he can exit, what kind of rent he wants to pay, etc. Why would such guy would love to use a stake? Can you share some of the strategies that he can consider?
Yeah, so, it's a great question. We have investors, just to kind of give you the breakdown of our investor base. We have investors who are, Emirates Airlines hostesses and waiters and waitresses at Tasha's who invest 500 or 1,000 dirhams every month with us. No problem. It's like they get yield. It's like a savings account, right? You're putting money into property. You're getting your portfolio. You're getting exposure to the real estate market. And then we have people who've given us 7 million dirhams who are partners in KPMG and big consultancy firms around the world. So it's really a diverse user base. And I'll also tell you, the exciting thing about it is anyone from anywhere in the world can invest. We have 202 nationalities from over 180 different countries who invested on the platform. So really, it caters to anyone. Anyone who can afford to buy a full property. Why is this a better choice? I'll tell you, because when you're putting that property, yes, you have more decision-making power, right? Okay, I can sell today. The rent is 80K. They can decide if the rent, average rent is 80. I want to charge 100. No problem. But at the end of the day, someone who's buying a full property still needs to deal with the headache, and it's all that capital into one property. They're putting that capital, and it's a risk. If the building, something happens to the building, the location. That capital intensive into one property for me just doesn't make sense. In terms of decision making, we are in the business to make the best decisions for our investors. People need to trust the fact that stake is built the platform is built on investors making recurring investments with us. 80% of our investors invest more than once. So it shows you that we're doing a really good job because they come back and they say, okay, I trust these guys. So in terms of the only thing that he has more control on when he has a full property is, okay, I want to sell tomorrow, I can list it. But actually, how easy is it to sell a property when you want to sell it tomorrow? Unless you really sell it at a huge discount, it's going to take time to sell the property. We've built something called, what I was talking about earlier, called exit windows, where 2 times a year, every 6 months, you can sell your shares, your stakes on our platform to other buyers. So if you want to exit, you can exit that. Just yesterday we didn't.
For how much?
So the way it works is every 6 months we update our valuation. So whatever the latest valuation is how much your shares are worth. You can decide to list it on our exit window, which is the market where people sell, and decide to sell it at the latest valuation or at a discount, 5, 10, 15, or 20% discount. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we've done that is it works exactly like the market. I had a friend who had invested with us over 100,000 dirhams, and he wanted to exit. He said, Rami, I put it out, and the value today was 115. He said, I listed them at 115, but it wasn't selling. I said, exactly. When you list something on Property Finder at 1.1 million and it doesn't sell at 1.1, you're going to try to discount it a bit. And that's how, when he discounted it by 5%, it immediately sold. Mm-hmm. So people still have an ability to exit on our platform. It's very seamless. It's on the app. It's super transparent. And you're able to kind of see what the valuation is and what the latest exit price is. But in terms of actual someone who wants to put all that money into a property, doing it with us, you're getting full hassle-free. It's diversified. And it's really done on an app. You're able to see your portfolio, everything. Fully transparent on the app. One thing we were talking about earlier is we're obsessed as a company on building an amazing user experience. So if you look at our app, we more than half the company is built on tech and product. We literally focus on how do we make people's life fully transparent and easy and hassle-free by just the app. How much returns did I make? What is my portfolio yielding? That full transparency you don't get when you're buying a full home. You really don't. Having said that, looking at Stake, it also allows you to test the market. Why should I go in and say this development is really good and put all my life savings into it? Let me go in with 100,000 dirhams and divide it across 10 different properties, see which one performs well. And then when I want to buy a full home, now I know the data. Now I know which one's done very well. So it gives you the ability to go in small and then increase later.
Yeah. So we lose a little bit liquidity, but you have like a truly passive income
100%
in this. Rami, we discussed how an agent can get a benefit if he brings to you a seller. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that he can get if he brings you a potential investor?
Yeah, so we're working with the owners of several brokerages where they have all these leads, and we call them dead leads, right? People who brokers have called once or twice.
Jesus Christ, right? Now they're listening. Yeah, I have them.
I'm sure. I mean, everyone has them, right? If you speak to any broker, you tell them, listen, how many leads do you have that told you not interested, or, I don't have the budget, All these leads, no one calls them again. You probably, that's it. You leave that. It's dying in the CRM of the brokerage. No one ever calls them. They probably get the weekly newsletter or the monthly newsletter or the email. So imagine those leads had interest to invest in Dubai real estate. They had interest, but they just at the time couldn't afford it. Or the product that you had, they weren't interested in. So those leads are sitting that are not making any money for the broker or the owner of the broker, whatever it is, they're just not making money. But now through Stake, you can make money from those leads because they're sitting there and now they're interested in real estate. So the interest is there. So that's check. Okay, do they want to invest in real estate? Yeah, they had that interest. So now give them a way to invest without having to get a mortgage or put down 2 million dirhams or 1 million dirhams. And that's where we can monetize those leads. So we're working with brokerages now. We have something called the Stake Broker Portal, whereby if a broker, the brokerage has leads, they can upload them onto our broker portal. And by the way, I say this, we're regulated. So we can't email investors, we can't call investors without getting their approval through you because they registered with the broker. So through the broker portal, you register your leads and then they'll get an email from the brokerage co-branded with Stake that says, hey, you're interested in real estate, but you couldn't afford it. Now you can with Stake. If they click and they like that proposition, then they register on our platform. And what happens is when they register on a platform, the broker gets a notification. Rami Tabbara registered now. And then if they upload their passport, because we do full KYC on all our investors, you get a notification. Rami Tabbara uploaded his passport. And then if I invest, you get a notification. Rami Tabbara just invested. So that full transparency is there. And then every time they invest in the properties funded, we'll pay you 2% on that investment.
Jesus Christ, guys. This is
so it's we really, when I say we're complementary to everyone, we're super complementary to the ecosystem.
Outstanding. When you're saying that I need to upload my leads, do I upload it one by one?
No, you upload a list and goes through our database, and then the email. We have to do some tech integration with every brokerage, and we want to do this with all the brokers. We're not trying to go to individual brokers because those leads are not owned by the brokers; they're owned by the company. So we go to the brokerage owners and we do some tech integration so that the email comes out from the brokers rather than us because we can't email those investors.
Okay. So in this case, you're paying commission to the obviously you're paying commission to the real estate agency, and then they need to agree with the agents what
Exactly
they're
what the
doing.
split is.
Otherwise, if you are the owner of the real estate company, you have bad leads. But people will take advantage of this list. Like, they will say, okay, let me give thousands leads.
But whoever gives that list first, so let's say you gave a list and 20 names are on it, and then a week later someone else gives us a list with the same 20 names. Whoever gave that list first gets that. So our system automatically blocks out any duplication.
Okay, but how do you protect yourself from somebody uploading the entire database of Dubai and telling this our
We're
clients?
only going through brokerage owners, only through the agency owners. So we've had many people saying, hey, I have a list of 1,000 people.
Yes.
And we say, no, it has to come through the brokerage owners. So we won't, for us, data protection is it being in the IFC, if anyone complains about the fact that we've reached out to investors without them registering with us, we get a huge fine. So we will not, that's not the business we're in. So if it has to come, and the only way we can reach out to them is if the email goes out from the agency, co-branded, and that lead registers. So you see what I'm saying? So if you give us 1,000 leads, you have to email them. And if they accept that they're interested, then the lead comes to us.
Okay.
Otherwise.
So if there is one guy who is sitting and watching this video right now, he has a lot of leads. He will be able to do this only if his company is
Yes.
registered with you.
Yes.
So to do this, he needs to ask his admin to get
Yes.
in touch with your admin.
Exactly.
And
then we take over from there.
outstanding opportunity. And 2% goes to the...
Yeah, and what we've done in for many brokerages is we've given them 12 months exclusivity. So if someone invests today and then invests in 8 months, you still get that 2%. So we've really built something where that agency have full transparency over that year. That if they keep investing, then they're going to get that money.
Outstanding. Ramy, there are a lot of other things that I would love to discuss with you. We are short on time. I'll be very happy to invite you once again,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We can discuss the crisis of 2008. We can discuss good and bad practices of the agents, and obviously discuss more stake. Thank you so much for passing by and sharing your experience. It was an amazing session.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks for having me.